Mauricio Umansky unveils the car Kyle Richards poked fun at. Mauricio Umansky is quite proud of his recent vehicle purchase. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills dad showed off the modified truck via Instagram on Friday, July 18, just hours after he landed in Aspen, Colorado. Mauricio told followers he was taking the Jeep Gladiator on a 3-hour road trip to Steamboat Springs, where he would celebrate another milestone for the agency, the ever-expanding brokerage firm he founded in 2011. Mauricio Umansky shares updates on his business and health. "I cannot tell you how excited I am this morning," he said while standing beside the vehicle. "We usually do grand openings approximately a year after they actually open. I cannot be more excited to be driving out to Steamboat Springs today and celebrating them. They are actually crushing the real estate market in Steamboat. The agency is just doing great all over the world right now." Mauricio then turned the camera to his all-black truck, which he loaded with his bike. "So, I'm taking my rig out to Steamboat. This is my rig," he said before touching on his collarbone injury from February. "I got my road bike on there. I'm not taking the mountain bike. It's a little too difficult with my clavicle. I'm still a little bit scared of riding on the rocks, and what have you. I gotta get over that fear pretty soon." Mauricio Umansky says he has no shame about his vehicle purchase. Mauricio hit the road a few minutes later and went to share a few shots of his scenic drive and a snap of him proudly posing with the off-road rig. "This is my famous midlife crisis Jeep lull," he wrote the story. "No shame." Mauricio was referencing comments his estranged wife, Kyle Richards, made on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show. The mother of four mentioned the truck when addressing claims that Mauricio was going through a midlife crisis. Kyle Richards pokes fun at Mauricio Umansky's big monster truck. "Probably there's some truth to that," she told castmate Erica Jane. "I mean, I would say this to his face, which I actually have. Kind of watching how he's been navigating through this situation. They're split. There's been times I've thought, oh, this is giving major midlife crisis vibes, all the way down to a car he bought for our house in Aspen that I just called the Midlife-Crisis-Mobile." Kyle described the vehicle as a big monster truck with a rough, sandpapery exterior and big wheels. "It looks like a monster coming through town," she joked. "It's not like one you see around Aspen, and everyone stares, and you're like, oh God." Mauricio Umansky shares an update on his and Kyle Richards' relationship. Since announcing their separation over 2 years ago, Kyle and Mauricio have maintained a healthy and supportive relationship. The exes regularly reunite for special events and family get-togethers, including holidays, parties, and nights at the club. Mauricio touched on his and Kyle's dynamic during a May chat with Briefing on Bravo, insisting their relationship was nothing short of amazing. "We talk all the time," he said. "I love her. I cannot tell you how excited I am this morning." He boomed into his phone, his voice a rich baritone that carried the genuine thrill of a man embarking on a grand adventure. His camera panned from his beaming face to the vehicle beside him, a sleek, rugged silhouette against the backdrop of towering pines. This wasn't just a truck, it was his rig. It was a statement, a companion, a rolling testament to the road less traveled, and perhaps the road less judged. He was headed to Steamboat Springs, a celebratory pilgrimage for the agency's latest grand opening. "We usually do grand openings approximately a year after they actually open," he explained, a chuckle rumbling in his chest. "I cannot be more excited to be driving out to Steamboat Springs today and celebrating them. They are actually crushing the real estate market in Steamboat. The agency is just doing great all over the world right now." His pride in his empire was palpable, a deep, resonant hum that mirrored the engine of his waiting truck. The camera settled on the Gladiator, its bed already loaded with his road bike. "I'm not taking the mountain bike," he admitted, a slight wince crossing his features as he touched his collarbone. The February injury was still a phantom ache, a reminder of vulnerability. It's a little too difficult with my clavicle. I'm still a little bit scared of riding on the rocks and what have you. I gotta get over that fear pretty soon. The admission was fleeting, a whisper of a challenge he intended to conquer, just like every other obstacle in his path. Minutes later, the black beast devoured the winding roads, leaving Aspen's manicured charm behind for the raw, untamed beauty of the Colorado wilderness. Sunlight dappled through the aspen leaves, painting shifting patterns on the rugged hood. Mauricio snapped photos of the breathtaking vistas, each one a postcard of freedom. Then he turned the camera on himself. A proud smile etched across his face as he leaned against the Gladiator, its imposing presence a perfect foil to his relaxed stance. "This is my famous midlife crisis Jeep lol," he typed on his Instagram story, the words a playful jab at himself, a preemptive strike against a familiar narrative. No shame. The words hung in the digital air, an echo of a conversation that had played out under the glare of reality television lights. Kyle, his estranged wife, Kyle Richards, her voice, laced with affectionate teasing, had described the very truck he now piloted with such pride. "Probably there's some truth to that," she had told Erica Jane on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show, her eyes sparkling with a mix of concern and amusement. "I mean, I would say this to his face, which I actually have. Kind of watching how he's been navigating through this situation, their split, there's been times I've thought, oh, this is giving major midlife crisis vibes, all the way down to a car he bought for our house in Aspen that I just called the Midlife-Crisis-Mobile." He could almost hear her, the slight emphasis on monster, the theatrical shudder at its rough, sandpapery exterior and big wheels. "It looks like a monster coming through town," she joked, a mischievous glint in her eye. "It's not like one you see around Aspen, and everyone stares, and you're like, oh God." Mauricio chuckled, the sound a low rumble in the quiet cab. Kyle, she knew him better than anyone. And yes, perhaps there was a kernel of truth in her playful accusations. The separation, the public scrutiny, the shift in his personal landscape, it had all been a seismic event, but a midlife crisis, he preferred to think of it as a midlife reckoning, a recalibration, a moment to shed the skin of expectation and embrace the raw, unpolished edges of his true self. The Gladiator wasn't a desperate grab at youth, it was a deliberate choice. It was the antithesis of the sleek, polished luxury cars that populated his usual world. This truck was dirt, grit, and capability. It was the spirit of adventure he'd always harbored, now unleashed. It was a physical manifestation of his desire to face challenges head-on, to push boundaries, to feel the wind in his hair, or what was left of it, and the rumble of power beneath him. It was a declaration that even amidst personal upheaval, life was still an open road, full of new terrains to explore. The collarbone injury, a stark reminder of his mortality, had only amplified this yearning for unbridled experience. He wasn't running from anything, he was driving towards something. The sun was dipping towards the horizon as he finally pulled into Steamboat Springs. The air here was buzzing with anticipation, a different kind of energy than Aspen's serene elegance. The agency's new office gleamed, a beacon of ambition and success. He was greeted by a chorus of cheers, handshakes, and backpats. The celebration was vibrant, a testament to the global reach of the empire he had built from the ground up. The monster truck, as Kyle affectionately called it, looked perfectly at home here, a symbol of the rugged determination that had fueled his journey. Later, as the festivities wound down and the Colorado stars began to pepper the inky sky, Mauricio found a quiet moment to lean against his Gladiator. The cool metal was a grounding presence. He thought of Kyle, her playful jests, her unwavering support even through their separation. Their bond, forged over decades, was resilient, a complex tapestry of shared history and enduring affection. "We talk all the time," he had recently told Briefing on Bravo, his voice softening with genuine warmth. "I love her." The truck, the Midlife-Crisis-Mobile, was just a vehicle. The real journey was the one he was on, navigating the evolving landscape of his life, his career, and his relationships, with no shame and with an open heart. The road ahead was long, but with his rig and the enduring love of his family, Mauricio Umansky was ready for anything. The story, The Road Less Judged, Mauricio's Ride to Reinvention, centers on Mauricio Umansky's excitement about his new Jeep Gladiator, which he's taking on a road trip to Steamboat Springs for a grand opening of his real estate firm, The Agency. Mauricio playfully acknowledges his estranged wife, Kyle Richards' previous comments on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show, where she jokingly referred to the truck as his Midlife-Crisis-Mobile and a big monster truck. The narrative highlights Mauricio's perspective, viewing the truck not as a sign of a crisis, but as a symbol of midlife reckoning and a deliberate choice to embrace adventure and personal growth amidst his separation from Kyle.